It didn't begin with a loan. It didn't begin with a donor's handout. It began with Tanzanians, building the impossible with their own strength. This is not a story about charity. It is a chronicle of will, a testament to a nation that looked at the vast, shimmering expanse of Lake Victoria and saw not an obstacle, but an opportunity. An opportunity to connect its people, to fuel its economy, and to declare its independence in a language the world could not ignore, the language of steel and concrete. This is the story of a bridge, but it is also the story of a dream forged in the heart of Africa, for the people of Africa, by the people of Africa. Imagine a sunrise. The first light of dawn spills across the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold. Below, the second largest freshwater lake on the planet sleeps, its surface a mirror reflecting the heavens. And stretching across this immense body of water, a new silhouette cuts through the morning mist. It is a structure of immense scale and profound significance. For decades, the crossing was a challenge, a bottleneck that slowed progress and separated communities. Ferries, old and unreliable, were the only link. But a new era was dawning, one where the journey would be measured not in hours of waiting, but in minutes of smooth, uninterrupted travel, a testament to a nation's resolve. This is the Lake Victoria Bridge. More than just an engineering marvel, it is a symbol. It represents a fundamental shift in the narrative of African development. Framed by external forces, conditions of international lenders, the agendas of foreign powers, the narratives of dependency. Tanzania chose a different path. It looked inward, not outward. It gathered its own resources, marshaled its own expertise, and trusted in its own vision. The result is a structure that stands not as a monument to foreign aid, but as a towering declaration of self-reliance, a bold statement that the future of Africa will be built by African hands. The world was watching, but perhaps it wasn't paying close enough attention. The financial gatekeepers, the institutions that have long dictated the terms of progress in the global south, were bypassed. The International Monetary Fund, the World Bank. This project was born from the collective will of the Tanzanian people, funded by their own treasury. It was a quiet revolution, a bold act of economic sovereignty that sent ripples through the halls of global finance. It proved that a nation, armed with vision and discipline, could achieve the monumental without begging for permission, rewriting the rules of what was considered possible for an African nation to accomplish on its own terms. In the lexicon of global development, certain words are repeated like a mantra: debt aid dependency conditions. These are the chains, both visible and invisible, that have often shackled the ambitions of nations striving for true independence. The story of the Lake Victoria Bridge is the story of breaking those chains. It is an unapologetic display of a country taking control of its own destiny. When the decision was made to fund this colossal $300 million project entirely from domestic resources, it was more than a financial strategy. It was a political and philosophical statement. It was Tanzania announcing to the world that its future would not be mortgaged, its policies would not be dictated, and its progress would not be contingent on outside approval. This project is a masterclass in Pan-African excellence, a beacon of what is possible when a nation harnesses its pride and channels it into progress. The bridge is not just a physical connection between the city of Mwanza and its surrounding regions. It is a spiritual connection to the ideals of sovereignty and self-determination championed by the forefathers of African independence. It embodies the spirit of Julius Nyerere's Ujamaa, updated for the 21st century, a vision of familyhood and self-reliance, now expressed in the language of world-class infrastructure. This is not just about moving goods and people, it is about moving a nation forward, propelled by its own engine of ambition and pride. Consider the sheer audacity of the vision, to look upon the vast expanse of Lake Victoria and decide not just to cross it, but to do so with a structure that would become the longest of its kind in East and Central Africa. This required more than just engineering prowess. It required a deep-seated belief in one's own capabilities. It was a challenge to the prevailing narrative of African limitations, a direct refutation of the idea that mega-projects on this scale were the exclusive domain of wealthier, more developed nations. Tanzania dared to dream on a continental scale, and in doing so, laid down a blueprint for its neighbors to follow, a path paved with national pride and unwavering resolve. The bridge stands as a physical manifestation of a new African consciousness. It is a symbol that resonates far beyond the borders of Tanzania, speaking to a continent on the rise. It is sovereignty you can see, touch, and drive across. Every girder, every pillar, every inch of asphalt is infused with the spirit of a people who chose to build their own future rather than wait for it to be given to them. This is the essence of the new Pan-Africanism, practical, bold, and utterly unapologetic. It is the understanding that true liberation is not merely political, but economic and psychological, and it is achieved one monumental, self-funded project at a time for all the world to see. June 19th, 2025. This date is not just a mark on a calendar, it is etched into the soul of a nation. On this day, a river of humanity flows toward the shores of Lake Victoria. They come from every corner of Tanzania, from the bustling streets of Dar es Salaam to the quiet villages of the Serengeti. They are farmers, merchants, students, elders, their faces alight with a shared sense of anticipation. The air crackles with an electric energy, a mixture of joy, pride, and disbelief. For years, the bridge was a distant promise whispered on the wind. Now it stands before them, a magnificent reality of steel and stone, a titan of progress gleaming under the African sun. This is more than a ceremony. It is a national pilgrimage. Thousands upon thousands gather, a vibrant mosaic of color and celebration. The sound is a symphony, the rhythmic pulse of drums, the soaring melodies of triumphant songs, the constant joyful hum of voices sharing stories. Flags, brilliant green, yellow, black, blue, wave like a forest in the wind. For so long, the lake was a divider, a vast expanse of water that dictated the pace of life and commerce. Today, it is the backdrop for a moment of ultimate connection, a celebration of a promise kept, a monumental task completed, a day when the impossible became tangible. They look up in awe at the colossal structure that now commands the horizon. It is a testament to years of tireless labor, a monument built not by foreign hands, but by their own brothers and sisters. They see the engineers who designed it, the welders who fused its steel heart, the construction workers who braved the elements day and night to bring this vision to life. Each pillar rising from the depths of the lake is a symbol of resilience. Each meter of asphalt is a paving stone on the road to a new era of prosperity. This is the moment when a nation collectively exhales, releasing the breath it has held, and inhales the sweet air of achievement. The world's cameras are here, of course. International news crews, financial analysts, political observers have all descended upon Mwanza. They came expecting to report on a story of African infrastructure, but they found something far more profound. They found a story of sovereignty in action. They witnessed a nation not just opening a bridge, but opening a new chapter in its history, written in its own language, funded by its own wealth, and dedicated to its own people. This was not just an inauguration, it was a coronation of a new kind of power, the power of self-belief. As the official proceedings begin, a hush falls over the immense crowd. The moment is saturated with historical weight. You can feel it in the stillness of the air. This is the culmination of a journey that began not with the first pour of concrete, but with a decision made in the highest halls of power. A decision to trust in Tanzania itself. It was a gamble, a defiant choice to sidestep the well-trodden path of international loans and the conditions they inevitably carry. It was a declaration that the nation's destiny was its own to forge. And as leaders speak, their words are not just for the cameras or the dignitaries. They are for every citizen who contributed, through their taxes and their faith, to this shared triumph. The bridge is more than a link between 2 points of land. It is a bond that strengthens the very fabric of the nation. It connects the economic powerhouse of Mwanza, the rock city, to the vital agricultural lands and trade routes that lie beyond. But the connection is deeper than commerce. It is a psychological bridge, uniting a people in a common sense of purpose and achievement. For generations, communities felt the distance imposed by the lake. Now, that distance has been conquered. A journey that once took hours of uncertainty by ferry is now a smooth, reliable passage of mere minutes, woven into the daily rhythm of life, a constant reminder of what they built together. Imagine the first vehicles to officially cross. Not a motorcade of politicians, but a convoy representing the lifeblood of the nation. A bus filled with schoolchildren, their faces pressed against the windows. A truck laden with fresh produce. An ambulance, representing the promise of faster access to healthcare. Each vehicle is a story, a testament to the bridge's immediate and profound impact on the lives of ordinary Tanzanians, a rolling tribute to their collective effort. This day, this moment, redefines the meaning of national treasure. It is not gold in a vault or diamonds in a mine. It is this structure, born of national will and financed by national wealth. It is sovereignty made manifest, a lesson for the world, an inspiration for the continent. As the celebrations continue late into the night, under a sky lit by fireworks that mirror the stars above Lake Victoria, a new confidence settles over the nation. Tanzania has not just built a bridge, it has built a new foundation for its future, a future where it stands taller, prouder, and more independent than ever before. The impossible is now the unforgettable. To comprehend the scale of this achievement, you must first understand the water it conquers. Lake Victoria is not merely a lake, it is an inland sea, a force of nature that has dictated life here for millennia. Spanning its vast, shimmering surface is a structure that seems to defy possibility. The J.P. Magufuli Bridge, as it is formally known, stretches for 3.2 kilometers, 2 full miles across the Gulf of Mwanza. This is not just a long bridge, it is a statement of intent. A declaration etched in steel, etched in concrete. By a significant margin, it is the longest bridge in East and Central Africa. A new benchmark for what the region can achieve. Think of that distance. For 3,200 meters, this titan strides across the water. Its pillars plunge deep into the lakebed. Its deck soars high above the waves. A colossal artery designed to carry the lifeblood of a nation. Before it existed, this expanse was a formidable barrier. Now it has been tamed, not by an outside power, but by the sheer will and ingenuity of Tanzanian minds and hands. This structure is a physical manifestation of national ambition, a line drawn across the map that redefines connectivity. Its length is not just a statistic, it is a measure of newfound confidence, a symbol of the capacity to think big and to build even bigger. The design is a marvel of modern engineering, a fusion of strength and grace. It is an extradosed bridge, a sophisticated hybrid that combines the principles of a girder bridge with the elegance of a cable-stayed design. The choice was deliberate. Cutting-edge technology that ensures aesthetic beauty, long-term durability, built to withstand the lake's unique conditions for a century or more. Every cable, every segment of pre-stressed concrete, speaks to technical excellence rivaling projects across the globe. This is not just infrastructure, it is artistry on a monumental scale, a testament to a commitment to quality that refuses to compromise. This is the new titan of the African continent. Its shadow falls long across the water, a constant, powerful reminder of the day Tanzania solved its own problems with its own vision. It stands as a silent rebuke to the quiet condescension of the old world order, a 2-mile-long rebuttal to any narrative of limitation. A landmark for Tanzania, for all of Africa. A beacon proving that when it comes to building the future, the continent's ambition knows no bounds. Its reach extends as far as its vision dares. The significance of the bridge extends far beyond its record-breaking length. It is a strategic masterpiece, a lifeline meticulously planned to unlock the economic potential of an entire region. For decades, Mwanza, a critical hub on the southern shore of Lake Victoria, was functionally an island. Ground transport to the north was effectively severed. The only options were slow, often unreliable ferries, or a punishing circuitous road journey that added hundreds of kilometers and countless hours. The bottleneck choked commerce. It stifled growth. It isolated communities. The bridge was not just a convenience, it was a strategic necessity. The key to unleashing a torrent of economic activity held back for generations. This structure is the heart of a new circulatory system. It connects Mwanza directly to neighboring regions, Geita, Kagera, and to landlocked nations, Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda. Suddenly, goods flow in a smooth, uninterrupted stream. Farmers in fertile northern lands can get produce to Mwanza markets in a fraction of the time, reducing spoilage, increasing profits. Minerals from resource-rich Geita move more efficiently, fueling the national economy. This isn't just about moving trucks faster, it's about accelerating progress for millions, creating jobs, building prosperity from the ground up. Imagine the daily dance of commerce across its 2-mile span. Trucks laden with cotton, trucks laden with coffee, once delayed at ferries, now glide toward ports, processing plants, buses carrying traders, buses carrying workers, connecting urban centers with rural communities, fostering integration and opportunity. The bridge is a powerful economic engine. Its constant hum, the sound of a region awakening. It reduces transportation costs. It increases trade efficiency. It attracts new investment to previously remote areas. A catalyst for a chain reaction of development. Every vehicle contributes to a stronger, more resilient national economy. More than an engineering feat, a tool of empowerment. It empowers the farmer, the miner, the small business owner, the student. It gives them back the most precious resource, time. Hours once lost to waiting are now hours for production, for education, for family. In building this bridge, Tanzania did more than join two pieces of land. It connected its people to opportunity. It bridged the gap between potential and reality. This 3.2-kilometer structure is a testament. True development isn't measured in dollars loaned. It's measured in lives transformed by sovereign ambition. In the grand theater of global finance, there is a script that has been followed for decades. When a developing nation dreams of a project this grand, this audacious, the first act always begins with a pilgrimage. A journey, cap in hand, to the grand halls of the World Bank, to the International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C. It is a well-trodden path, paved with loan applications, structural adjustment policies, conditionalities that often reach deep into the sovereign affairs of a nation. This is the established order. But Tanzania, with a quiet and steely resolve, chose to tear up that script. They decided the first act would not be a plea for help, but a declaration of self-reliance. When plans for the Lake Victoria Bridge were finalized, the world's financial institutions waited for the inevitable phone call. The call never came. Instead, Tanzania announced it would finance the entire $300 million cost internally. It would be paid for by the Tanzanian people, through their own national treasury, from their own revenues. This was not just a funding decision, it was a political earthquake. It was a direct and unapologetic challenge to the decades-old paradigm that Africa's progress must be underwritten by foreign capital and subject to foreign oversight. This singular act of financial sovereignty cannot be overstated. It was a move that baffled the so-called experts and financial analysts who had long preached the gospel of foreign direct investment and international loans as the only viable path to large-scale infrastructure. They viewed it as a gamble, a risky deviation from the norm. But for Tanzania, it was the only path that guaranteed true ownership. By rejecting the familiar embrace of international lenders, the nation was consciously refusing the strings that always come attached. Policy prescriptions, austerity measures, and the subtle erosion of economic independence that often follow in the wake of such massive debts. The message was clear and resonant. Tanzania's future would not be built on borrowed money. It would be built on the bedrock of its own economic discipline and the collective will of its people. This decision was a powerful statement about the health of the nation's economy and the confidence of its leadership. It demonstrated a capacity for long-term planning and fiscal management that many external observers had failed to recognize. In one bold move, Tanzania shifted its status from a supplicant in the global financial system to a sovereign actor, charting its own course and building its own monuments with its own hands and its own wealth. As we conclude this story, we stand at a threshold. The Lake Victoria Bridge is not the end of the narrative, but a powerful and inspiring prologue to a future still being written. The ink is now in African hands. The success of this project has unleashed a torrent of ambition, a contagion of courage spreading across the continent. The question it poses to every African is not what has been built, but what will we build next? The bridge has raised the bar, expanded the horizon, redefined what is possible. The future is an open page, waiting for new monuments, new innovations, new declarations of sovereign power. This is the dawn of the African century, not defined by resources extracted, but by the genius and resilience of its people. The path forward is integration, collaboration, shared ambition, high-speed trains connecting our capitals, unified energy grids powering industry, a single continental market driving prosperity. The challenges remain immense, but the will to overcome them has never been stronger. The spirit that built the Lake Victoria Bridge is the same spirit that will build this new, interconnected and powerful Africa. They said Africa must wait for permission. Tanzania said no, this is Insight Africa, where sovereignty builds its own future.